takes courage and strength. So together, let's start shaping a better future today. Recreate a braver tomorrow.
Ngayong binabalot tayo ng dilim at pangamba,
Sabay-sabay ang pagkatok ng mga tanong na,
kaya pa ba?
saan ba tayo pupunta? May pag-asa pa ba?
Sa gitna ng lahat ng agam-agam, may mga bagay tayong muling natuklasan. Wala palang pagsubok ang makakatalo sa tatag ng ating nagkakaisang puso.
Nananalig, nagmamalasakit, nagbabayanihan,
Nagmamahal sa bayan,
sa kalikasan,
sa kalusugan,
sa pamilya.
at sa kapwa.
Kaya anumang pagsubok ang kakaharapin,
Umasang may magandang bukas para sa atin.
at pagkatapos ng lahat ng ito, sama-sama tayong tatayo.
Cities are absolutely central to development. If we are to find solutions for global developmental challenges, we must find solutions for cities.
I think people are flooding to the cities because they need to find opportunities.
So I think the priority now should be doing something in the cities on the environment and the social issues included, of course.
The issues of the future are transport and mobility, it's urban development.
I think people increasingly have to spend more and more time traveling from their homes, and the less resources you have, the more you have to travel. So improving the lives of these people is essential.
It's water and it's waste. That's what we see as the biggest demands for support.
And politicians really need to get a grip of water because we're running out.
The problem is that many cities do have issues with creditworthiness. Some of them don't have access to capital markets and to bank financing.
I look for opportunities predominantly for the private sector to actually make a difference for people and to give them water and sewage services.
What I do, I'm an associate investment officer, so I help cities transform themselves. So.
A better future is built by the brave, envisioned by brilliant minds, born from the passions of thousands strong. One that isn't without risk, but protected from it. Safe from all the worries and secure for what's to come. Because a better future with the greatest empires, the strongest communities, and the happiest families will always be worth having. That's why the bold and the fearless understand that recreating something better takes courage and strength. So together, let's start shaping a better future today. Recreate a braver tomorrow.
Good afternoon, mayors, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 8th Livable Cities Lab, brought to you in partnership with the League of Cities of the Philippines and Globe Telecom. I'm Guillermo Luz, chairman of the Livable Cities Challenge and Chief Resilience Officer at the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation and an associate director at Ayala Corporation. Today's lab will focus on basic infrastructure for better livability, where we will zero in on basic services needed for LGUs. While we discuss livability, we must first address the essentials for living in order for a city to be truly livable. These are the underlying conditions that are the building blocks for human development. They play an integral component of poverty reductions since they address the basic needs. These include services such as electricity and energy, water and sanitation, refuse and waste management, and telecommunications and internet services. All must be affordable, sustainable, equitable, and accessible for all people. This afternoon's lab is going to be an exciting one. We're going to have a wide range of topics from infrastructure finance to uh, 3D reality capture to experience of two mayors and to telecommunications and connectivity. So wide-ranging topics, all on infrastructure. And we've assembled a great panel of technical experts to share their knowledge, experiences, and insights in these fields of basic infrastructure, infrastructure finance, and technology solutions. But first, before we start, as we usually do, let's review a few basic safety reminders for all our webinar guests. First, be aware of your surroundings while the webinar is ongoing, in case you need to stop due to an emergency. And second, please always stay safe and practice social distancing if you are out of your home. Now, let me start by also acknowledging the mayors present in this webinar. Two of them are going to be speakers today. So that would be Mayor Lani Revilla of Bacoor City, Cavite, and Mayor Bernard D. of Kawayan City in Isabela. We're also joined by Mayor Andrea Inares, Antipolo City, Mayor Eric Singson of Candon City, Ilocos Sur, Mayor Catalino Adapon of Josefina, Zamboanga del Sur, Mayor Manuel Saladaga of Mahayag, Zamboanga del Sur, Mayor Lourdes Katakis of San Pedro City, Laguna, and Mayor uh, Gina Lizares of Sipalay City, Negros Occidental. We're happy that a lot of the mayors are repeat visitors to the Livable Cities Lab, and we would love them to have them as speakers also in future sessions. Okay, just a few more reminders, administrative reminders. This webinar will be recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent to all of you after the session. Questions may be asked through the Q&A chat box if you're on Zoom. And I'd like to point out that Zoom has a feature where you can vote for questions by clicking on the thumbs up icon so that the most voted ones come up on top of the priority list of questions, while other questions may be parked for later in the open forum. You can also ask questions on Facebook Live by typing into the comment section of Facebook, and our staff will pick it up from there and relay it to us. At the end of this webinar, we will invite you to please fill up our feedback survey. Your response will help us improve our Livable Cities lab series, and you may also get a certificate of participation by answering the corresponding question in the survey. For this afternoon, we currently have 229 attendees on Zoom and Facebook Live. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us at the Livable Cities Lab on basic infrastructure for better livability. Now, to get this program going, we'd like to ask all of you a question so we can find out where you're coming from this afternoon. So the question is, where are you joining us from? And they will post the question on your screens. And are you joining us from rest of Luzon, Metro Manila, Visayas, or Mindanao? So just please pick one, and in a few seconds we'll close the poll and we'll let you know where we're all going to be coming from. So the question, where are you joining us from? Rest of Luzon, Metro Manila, Visayas, or Mindanao? Okay, the poll's closing. Here we are, 40% from the rest of Luzon, 39% from Metro Manila, so that's almost 80%, 8% Visayas, and 13% Mindanao. So this is a little different from our usual mix, where we have more people from Visayas and Mindanao, but maybe there's some difficulty with connectivity after this typhoon, but at least we know where we're all coming from. So let me move on to our first presentation. And as I said, we're going to have a series of them on basic infrastructure, technology, telecommunications, and the experience of two mayors. So for our first presentation, it's my pleasure to introduce Aurelie Chardon. Aurelie is with the International Finance Corporation, which is the private sector arm of the World Bank. She is the IFC Asia Regional Cities Lead, responsible for investments and advisory services in municipal financing, waste management, water and urban services, based in Singapore. She's an engineer by background, and she started her career in project financing, focusing on energy and mining. She has served on IFC's natural resources team in Istanbul and London, and for the last 3 years, she has been an advisor to the World Bank president. It's our pleasure to welcome Aurelie to join us and IFC to join us in this Livable Cities Lab. So let us please welcome Aurelie Chardon. Aurelie, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Bill.
Cities are absolutely central to development. If we are to find solutions for global developmental challenges, we must find solutions for cities.
I think people are flooding to the cities because they need to find opportunities.
So I think the priority now should be doing something in the cities on the environment and the social issues included, of course.
The issues of the future are transport and mobility, it's urban development.
I think people increasingly have to spend more and more time traveling from their homes, and the less resources you have, the more you have to travel. So improving the lives of these people is essential.
It's water and it's waste. That's what we see as the biggest demands for support.
And politicians really need to get a grip of water because we're running out.
The problem is that many cities do have issues with creditworthiness. Some of them don't have access to capital markets and to bank financing.
I look for opportunities predominantly for the private sector to actually make a difference for people and to give them water and sewage services.
What I do, I'm an associate investment officer, so I help cities transform themselves. So.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. I'm just trying to share this presentation. Okay. All right. So thanks so much for inviting me and IFC to present to this distinguished audience. We're very happy to be here and to present to you what what we do in IFC with the cities and the subnational governments and how we can support your needs. So just a quick introduction. I hope you've all heard of the World Bank. The mission of the World Bank is to end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity. And there's 5 arms to the World Bank Group. We are all part of the IFC, which is the private sector arm. And I know it's a bit confusing when we say private sector because it also includes subnational lending without sovereign guarantee. So really our mission in IFC is to support the private sector solutions and development. And especially when we talk about cities, really to help cities, engage with the private sector, find the best solutions for them, but we can also lend directly to those cities. So we're the biggest development institution. We have offices in about 100 countries around the world, including in the Philippines, where we have been active since 1962. And I must apologize for the mask I'm wearing. I'm currently based in Singapore and I am in the office, but we have to wear the mask because of COVID. So hopefully you can still hear me very clearly. So just very quickly, IFC is involved in infrastructure investments. So we have about a portfolio of about $14 billion across the globe. And for cities itself, specifically cities lending, we have a portfolio of about $1 billion. How do we engage with cities? So really, I wanted to give you an example so that it resonates well. And this is our biggest client, Izmir in Turkey. It's the 3rd largest cities in Turkey, where we have been involved since 2010, and still now we have new projects. And really the idea of the cities business for IFC is to engage in long-term partnership with cities and subnationals, and really help you get to the goals that you need by supporting, providing advice, but also providing financing. And to be able to do that, we have the whole toolbox of the World Bank Group. So we have experts in a lot of different sectors, including transport, street lighting, water, waste, smart solutions, urban housing, etc. And really, depending on your needs, we can tailor advisory support and financing to meet your goals. And what I like about this slide is it shows to you the developments that we have with this specific client. So we started with a 20 million investment in a port expansion in 2010. And then you see it led to, I think, about 30 different investments, all in different sectors. So covering, e-mobility, urban transport, wastewater, sewage, waste to energy, etc. And really combining both financing, but also advisory. The other important point that I wanted to mention is that it's not only about IFC lending to the Muni, but we also are engaging with other financial institutions to also work with us and engage with cities. So as you can see at the bottom of the slides, we provided $210 million for Izmir, and we also facilitated 200 million extra of investment from other sources. And that led Izmir to really transform their funding sources. So I think in 2010, they had 70% of their funding was from short-term credit lines and also from financing guaranteed by the government. And now it's the opposite. So 70% of their funding is from DFIs or from private sector banks long-term, so 10 to 12 years. And so much limited kind of recourse from the sovereign government. And that allowed them to plan better their investments and really think of a longer term plan. And I think today we're talking about basic services. So really, I think that's interesting to munis and cities and government officials such as yourself, because you can think of a kind of a bit of a longer term and get the financing that you need for that. Just moving on. So as I mentioned, we are engaged in basically all of the urban infrastructure sectors. So water, waste, energy and energy efficiency, marine plastics, resilience, social, so health and education, which is really, I know, top of your mind these days. Transport, including e-mobility, street lighting, etc. And we are supporting in various ways. So we can just, address infrastructure needs, but also improve access to commercial financing. We also have a strong social and environmental risk management practice, which we are happy to help and build capacity around, and then promote climate-friendly solutions. And our clients are, not only the municipalities and the regional governments, but also private sector players who are engaging with the city, banks and financial intermediaries, but also select regional state-owned enterprises. So for example, the water, some national entities, etc. And as I mentioned, it's not only finance. So what we like to do and what we think works really well is we provide the financing, but we also combine this with advisory services to improve the impact of the project, but also help you think about different ways of doing things. Or if you're struggling with an issue, we can bring the best consultants and the best minds to help you figure it out and come up with some ideas and structures for it. And these advisory services cover a lot of different topics. So just moving quickly to just give you an idea of the menu of services for our advisory piece. It can be at the project level, so covering things like, what is the best technology for the project? How do you handle environmental and social risk, etc. It can be at the community level, how do we make sure the community benefits from it to the best they can? At the city level, how can we help you prioritize the projects and engage with the private sector in a sustainable and equitable way? And it can also be at the country level. Our World Bank colleagues are engaging with governments all the time, and they can help unlock some of the hurdles that we have at the city level and at some of the sectors level. So on the right-hand side here of these slides, you can have, there's a few ideas of advisory support we have provided. So, things like, helping you with green buildings, which I know in the Philippines, a lot of the cities are at the forefront of that. But also really, you can see there's a very wide menu, and it really depends on what you need, and we'll be tailoring that to what makes most sense for you and for your specific cases. In terms of the financing itself, so this is just like a quick overview of what we can provide. I think the key point is we can provide a longer tenor than you usually see in the market. So typically up to 15 years, which could be helpful, especially for these basic services projects. We can do local currency. Our pricing is roughly aligned with the private sector market. And the size is anything from 10 million to $250 or $300 million, depending on your balance sheet. Since the focus is on basic infrastructure, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick idea of what we do, for example, on the waste side. As I mentioned, waste is only one of the sectors we can get involved, but for the waste in particular, we are involved across the whole value chain. So from the solid waste management planning and capacity building, helping you think about how you can develop plastic bans, recycling, but also sustainable energy efficient process of optimization, to the midstream, so the collection, the transport, the separation and the process, the best technology, thinking about what would be the best way to handle your waste, to the downstream, so waste disposal, landfills, waste to energy recovery, etc. So really, again, depending on your needs, we can help you think it through and provide support to that. And this is just, again, an idea just to kind of help you think about what we can provide, again, on the waste side. So really help you develop the documents that you need to get the private sector involved, fund some market analysis, pre-feasibility studies, technological comparison, again, the environmental and social review, and the best way to plan for that. On the waste side, it's often a key topic. Thinking of what's the best value for money for you as well in terms of managing your waste, but also PPP solutions. So, legal review, transaction structuring, marketing, all the way to the financing. So as I mentioned, we can do direct lending to a city or to a subnational entity, but also we can help the private sector players or help you think about PPP solutions. So really the whole spectrum. And just to finish off, I wanted to give you a quick example of what we've done again for Izmir, this time on the water side. And I thought this was quite timely because it's linked to the COVID response. So in Izmir, you know, we discussed it. It's a big client of ours. We've been engaged for a long time, and we've built this relationship of trust with the city where basically the mayor comes to us when it needs something or it has a problem that he needs to solve, and we basically help him think about it. So in this case, impact of COVID-19, I'm sure you're familiar with this. You know, they had declining revenues, so lower tax generation and revenues due to lower economic activity. Low utilization rates, so higher subsidies to the municipal companies to be able to compensate for that, increased expenses to procure goods and services to fight COVID. And so it meant that the large scale infrastructure investment that they had were frozen. And on top of that, in Turkey, they had a macroeconomic environment which was not really conducive, you know, FX, inflation and interest rate issues, etc. So what we've done is we've come up with a 34 million loan, which was signed in June 30th, really quickly, to finance the critical water and wastewater investments that were planned before COVID and which would have been delayed because of COVID. And in addition to that, so that's the investment part. On the advisory part, what the municipality was interested to look at is how can they make sure that the payments were made on time, and you know, how also can they make sure the tax compliance was met, especially with COVID. So we've done something that actually was new to us as well, but we used behavioral science, so together with our colleagues from the World Bank, to help find ways to improve the social, operational, and financial resilience of the city during this emergency situation. So really looking at how best to communicate, what are the best ways to engage with citizens, to make sure that, you know, the city gets the most out of it, and people understand where they were coming from. This is just one case study. We have plenty of them, as I mentioned, in very different sectors. So we would really recommend and welcome any engagements that you would like with us. If you have any issues or anything you'd like to discuss, we're here for you. My colleagues are also on the call, and they're both based in Manila, Tui and Yuji. So we're happy to answer any questions you have. I think that's all for us for now. Back to you, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Aurelie. Thanks for the presentation. I mean, I think it's good to sort of educate us on what IFC does. I think you're well known in the private sector because of the private deals you've done, financing and investing those deals, but much less well known in municipal finance. So I think it's an opportunity, I think, for mayors to consider. It's not only the financial services, but the advisory services that are also important, and the ability to bring in the right expertise and technical answers. So thanks for that, Arlie, and I hope we will be able to answer questions later on. I'd like to remind everybody that if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box or the comment section of Facebook Live. So the Q&A box on Zoom or the comment section of Facebook Live, so we can answer them during the panel discussion later. Or as we go, we'll also try to answer the questions as speakers proceed. So let's move on to our second presentation. It's going to be done by Conrad Alampay. So Conrad is president of DigiScript Philippines, where he serves as one of the pioneers and leading experts on 3D reality capture and its various applications for architecture, engineering, construction, heritage conservation, public safety, and facilities management. He provides technology training and consulting and dedicates his time to research and development of 3D reality capture, as well as facilitates adoption of this technology for various organizations, government agencies, and educational institutions. He is a member of ICOMOS Philippines and serves as a trustee for the Heritage Conservation Society. He's been involved in various 3D laser scanning documentation projects with the national cultural treasures and important cultural properties around the Philippines. So he does both infrastructure, modern buildings, and heritage buildings. Let's please welcome Conrad Alampay. Conrad, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here to share what we do in DigiScript. So let me just quickly share my screen. Great. Yeah, so I'm quite excited to be here and share really how this, what we call reality capture technology, really plays an important role in really efficient planning, design, and management of our livable cities. So allow me to take you through this. So when we think of basic infrastructure for better livability, these are the words that come to mind, right? We have to make sure that, you know, we're building the foundation here of our future, our current and future cities, as well as design for development and growth. You know, so everything that we do is intentional, is properly planned. Of course, at the priority is public health and safety, especially during the current times. So great planning involving different stakeholders is involved, right? So as we look at a sustainable city, it's really building that foundation, and we want our structures, of course, to stand the test of time and really make them last and durable for the current and future needs. And as we plan our cities, one of the most important things to note is really the accuracy. And that means it's about interconnecting people to systems, whether it's utilities, basic services, and really it's connecting where the importance of the value of where location comes into play as we build for these cities. So how do we conventionally look at planning for our cities? I guess conventionally, when you look at it, we use what we call traditional tools, which are still used today, are currently used today, which are single point measurement tools. So how it works is a team will go on site, and they have these instruments that they set up on a tripod. And normally these are points that are taken one point at a time, which are time consuming and they take long to capture on the field. And normally what surveyors normally do, they want to go on site, quickly get the measurements and go back because it's hot, it's inconvenient. So normally these points come in as different what's called points, and those have to be interpreted as a drawing. And so those drawings normally are not very easy to understand, and many times they're missing a lot of information. And so many times there's going to be time and cost where these surveyors have to go back on site 2 to 3 to 5 times just to go back and say, I've missed out a point, I have to come back and bring that up. So these are normally done for like lot boundaries, for city planning, for getting terrain models, and knowing how big my land is and usability of that. But many times this data is very, I guess, incomplete, and sometimes you realize problems when it's too late. So that image I like to share at the bottom left is really a bridge that was constructed, only to realize that the other side of the bridge did not meet. And so again, that's the problem with using maybe basic tools and tools that are not really relevant so much in today's practice. So, and projects as well, projects are becoming more complex. We have shorter, ambitious timelines. The government right now, the Build program, they want to accelerate the development. And right now we're looking at shorter timelines and budget. So there's also a need to use proven available technologies and cost-effective technologies to help accelerate our projects. And so I'd like you to consider what we're doing now with some of our projects. It's called what we call reality capture, right? So reality capture is really the method of really capturing everything within your scene. And if you're measuring conventionally 200 to 300 points, normally this method captures 2 million to 3 million points, 2 million points every few minutes. So this makes it much more efficient, capturing in the field quicker and less exposure on site. And what happens with this data, it's converted into a digital representation, or what we call a digital twin of your built environment. And what happens is it takes into account everything within your scene. So there's no need to go back and capture it again, because you capture the holistic scene and understand your entire site completely. Right? So we've seen the drive of adoption, and digitization is really the new buzzword, as we know now. Go back to construction, and this change is really coming, right? So it becomes a real way to digitize and build around what we have on site. So the benefits really of reality capture, let me allow you to take you through very, very few benefits as I like to show you more examples of how we've used it, but really communicate and collaborate within your project site. So this means that, when you capture it, it's a digital space. It's easier to do this type of interaction where we're on a Zoom call, and we can now bring the site the digital site into our office and now designed together, brings all stakeholders in, and allows you to validate work based on what's actually there, right? And understand your site completely. It also allows you to get quick analysis of your as-built conditions. Many of the buildings out there today, they no longer have building records, and they're outdated. And so how do we now understand how to improve them, how to rebuild, how to preserve what we have? That is very difficult without the right tools right now. At the same time, we want to improve, of course, reduce risk and reduce any guesswork. So there are stories I've been hearing where we start excavating a project only to find out it actually cuts a power line or bursts a pipe. And those are the things that we want to prevent, minimize those risks, which can be costly and damaging to reputations as well. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is really save time, costs, complete projects within time and budget, and of course, build what is designed and specified, right? So these are the main benefits that we're looking at when we use reality capture into our project. So as we look at both sides of the spectrum, we definitely want to use the right tools for the right job. And I said projects are getting more complex, and we want to make sure that we use the right tools to make sure that we are cost and time effective. Of course, keeping in mind the safety factor and limiting our exposure on the field. And all the data that we capture in reality capture is shared and can collaborate within multiple stakeholders. So let me stop for a minute and understand what is reality capture for many of us that are seeing this for the first time. So reality capture is really digitizing the physical world using different measurement sensors or technologies to enable a 3D measurement and imagery to capture that into a 3D representation of the real world conditions. So I guess in simpler terms, think of it as that's not documents, but digitizing and photocopying the built environment. So think of it as a copy machine of your entire world, of your spaces and your built environment. And so these are some imagery of what the sensors may look like. And today, if you look at these images on the left here, so you look at, they come in many shapes and forms. And as I mentioned, we have to use the right tools for the right job. So there are tripod-based systems where they set up on the ground. We have UAV and drones that can capture hundreds of hectares within weeks. You're capturing like large cities or large new terrain. You would use drone technology. We have this thing called backpack scanners, where you wearable technology. So as you walk, you're now capturing tunnels underneath bridges. And if you're looking at large city mapping, you would probably consider this mobile mapping solution where you mount these sensors onto vehicles and drive city streets and now map everything within line of sight. So we're looking at as well technology, because it adopts and changes very quickly. We're now seeing these systems more portable, more affordable, and these now can fit into your backpack. This single system here with a round top is actually fits in the palm of your hand. You can bring that wherever you need to go to capture information. And we're also looking at technology that which captures information below ground. So even subsurface conditions, planning for utilities, making sure you know what you're going to excavate, like mapping out existing infrastructure below ground, because we don't have documentation anymore of our city streets and utilities below. So these are the sensors that we can use in helping plan our resilient cities, right? So where do we actually use reality capture? So on the left, you'll see a menu of different structures where we personally, DigiScript, have used these projects, this technology into these projects. And I'll take you through some examples right now. So again, from public buildings to warehouses to commercial and residential. Heritage structures is a big part of where I started this journey in preserving our structures that don't have records and digitally preserving them, as well as roads and infrastructure. So these are all helping understand our built environment to help plan for the future. So let me show you how it works. So if you are considering this in a building environment, the scanner or the 3D system actually goes into a building inside and outside. And as it moves, you would move it from one spot to the next, right? And as it moves from one location to the next, it creates a 3D picture of each location and stitches that together to come up with what we call a 3D point cloud, a 3D set of data comprised of millions of points. And all these points have exact measurement information. And all these, if you look closely, they're made of points, what we call point clouds. And as you look closely, we can now virtually travel through walls, through ceilings, and immerse ourselves in the environment that we're going to improve or design. So if you look around, this is actually reality capture data. Again, I can do all this design work remotely, which is really the current scenario we have now. We need to make sure projects are moving forward, but without having to physically be on site. And this is one way to make sure we safely capture it, share it, and now plan for its future. So you can now look at these points, and I can actually take my mouse, take a point on the top of the column, at the bottom, and now measure very precisely to millimeter accuracy my current conditions. And now design all my improvements, understand what's on the ground, share that with my engineering team. And again, if I'm looking at this for heritage site, this is one of my favorite videos to show. We can slice through structures and churches and understand all the structural, conditions, and see layer by layer what's happening in my building. Right? This is the Manila Cathedral, which we scanned back in 2012. So again, I want to show an example of how we've used this for current infrastructure. So we're looking at the current image now is our project that we did a few years ago, which is the rehabilitation of the Ayala Bridge. Again, this is the oldest steel bridge in the country, and it needed to continue to be used because it would actually cost more to construct a new bridge rather than rehabilitate this bridge. So there was no existing conditions, no documentation of this. What we did, we had to document first using 3D scanning all these components to help the consultants redesign or rehabilitate the bridge and understand completely what they had. So an inventory of all their the bolts, the nuts, the clearances had to be done. And again, the contractor here, they stated that they really saved the government $1 billion by having to, instead of reconstructing, they used the existing structure, built around it. And now this is a short walkthrough of the it's just a walkthrough, a complete documentation. And from this laser scan data, we're able to now use this to help extract all the measurements, to help determine, how to reorder the parts, understand damages, conditions, and really, it's really your complete digital data of the entire Ayala Bridge. So again, we're looking at, reality data and how it's used. And right now, one of the build initiatives really is connecting our cities. And you can consider this for using for our railways and stations. So right now we're looking at reality data that, all our data right now for our rails are old records. Sometimes they might even be hand-drawn. If we get our hands on them, they're not to scale, they're hand-drawn still. And we need to make an accurate inventory to make sure that we know the conditions, of course, to ensure passenger safety, to help upgrade them, and of course, to help reduce, safety risks, right? It also helps, again, with having this data at your disposal, allows you to have more safer operations for managing and maintenance, and limit any disruption to operations, which is really something that we face from time to time. So one of the our larger projects we did recently was the conservation management plan of Intramuros. This is something to consider as we now look at resilient cities. How do we now plan for existing cities and use what we learned from historic cities to plan ahead? So of course, one of the most recognized cities that a tourist destination is the Intramuros city. And in 2009, we were commissioned to do the conservation management plan. Was really the process of identifying and communicating what is important and meaningful in the city for the place, and how buildings, streets, open spaces, and infrastructure communicate that significance or that meaning, right? So of course, we understand the importance of the boundaries, how it was damaged over time, the fortifications, the width of streets, the plazas and open spaces. All of these have to be considered as we now plan for the preservation and use of the city. So reality capture was used in this example as a digital preservation of the heritage for tourism and planning. And again, it served as a reliable reference for monitoring and documenting changes. So we know that documentation is one of our weak points. So we make sure that we can use these tools to help plan ahead. And again, understand better preventive maintenance and conservation management plans to determine priority-based projects, right, and budgets. So this is another view of the digital data that you might see in front of you. It's actually the 3D Intramuros city map, which was taken from a drone. So we flew a drone and over a series of images, stitched that data together to come up with a complete 3D picture of Intramuros city. So from here, we can understand, the heights of buildings, the surrounding areas, the vistas, the views, sight lines. Again, another perspective by capturing your city in this fashion and helping plan ahead for redeveloping or preserving. So right now I'm showing you, again, how do we understand this 3D data? If we're looking at aerial imagery, we can now understand also on elevations for planning and prevention of floods. So if you look at this image, the lighter points are the higher points and the darker points are the lower points. All that data is taken from the air, from the drone, and we can now plan ahead, determine mitigation measures to develop resilient cities, right? Again, the imagery is captured is so dense and so complete that we can even use this for inventory of utilities, understanding like surface cracks of road conditions, right? And also budget for repairs, right? So we now look at the current conditions. How do we now use this, the inventory, how to plan ahead and understand our assets on the ground, right? Right, so I'd like to maybe the last few slides to share really how reality capture is really going to help build our livable cities, right? So we have to make sure that we start data the right way. We learn from our past and making sure we document them. And so one way we're using this is collecting this information, putting it into what we call a comprehensive city planning system, or GIS, where we consolidate all this reality data, whether it's from the ground, from the air, underground, putting that into the system to help create this framework of gathering and managing and analyzing data. So it really gives us deeper insights into like patterns, relationships, situations, and helping make smarter decisions for our cities. So again, for disaster risk planning, monitoring changes and problematic areas, and also how do we now respond to events or calamities. This is one way to understand like maybe waterways, where do we now need to rebuild or reconstruct or safeguard certain areas. This is a holistic view of our city. At the same time, we're using reality capture today, using certain technologies like certain sensors and cameras to now really understand really on the ground situation and doing this remotely. So one of the solutions that also are now coming out are using remote site inspection tools. So imagine Google Street View, regularly updated Google Street View side by side versus weeks of progress, and doing and collaborating and making sure there's a cost-effective and way to cut down on travel costs, and time savings for other measures. At the same time, it's promoting health and safety through physical distancing. So we know now in our construction sites, we can no longer be on the ground and send entire teams there. We have to manage our workers, keeping them safe. And this is one way to monitor progress, using basic sensors or imagery, and now hosting that in a way that we're doing this call now, on Zoom, where now we can now collaborate, understand what's on the ground without having to physically be there. So this is really documenting every step of infrastructure, which will help us effectively manage our assets once construction is complete. So we're thinking this as a way to understand and manage our future cities as well. So again, reality capture, at the same time, we're using drone imagery. We're using this to help invite investors to your cities. Think of virtual tours. Now, we know that we can't really travel to the cities that we'd like to today, but looking at using drone imagery to help virtually visit our cities, to help invite your investors to see what are the unique resources, infrastructure, landscapes, views, and help visualize what we can build within your cities, right? It's a real ground situation based on imagery, right? And so this is part of a virtual tour we did. So if you go to our Facebook after this call, you'll see the entire old and new city Manila as a virtual tour to help, again, ensure that our investors, that the beauty of our cities are still here and present and ready to be visited soon, right? This can be done, while traveling is still a challenge, right? As we look at as well, using this systems for building our cities around tourism, right? We have really unique sites that sometimes we not even showcased them to the public. And using reality capture data, 3D sensors, we're now capturing, sharing, and now doing a virtual walkthrough, which is captured again in 3D, and now build and share your cities. So right now, this is where DigiScript is playing a role right now with 3D reality capture. We believe that 3D reality capture will be the standard in planning, designing, and executing our projects as we move forward in developing resilient and livable cities. We can accelerate the development of our built environment by starting with a clear picture of our current environment, right? So I believe the earlier we integrate reality capture into our infrastructure planning, the greater we will be prepared for the future and allow us to better adapt to unexpected times. So now these images just show how we're on the ground, helping construction companies, universities, safety professionals use this within the project sites and adopt this, embrace this technology, and it is here to help. Yeah, so this is my summary, my closing slide, just to share, DigiScript, if for many of those that are not familiar with us, we have been around since 2006, really the pioneers of this technology. And we're here today to really help and see how we can help our architects, engineers, and construction increase efficiency, right, and productivity by adapting these digitization tools. Right? And so we like to say we bring in the best tools to help our local experts accelerate projects and really optimize our current built environment. And so we look forward to hearing from each of you, those who foresee using this within your cities and helping them build resilient for the future. Right, so I'd like to thank each of you, and we'll be here for the call for more questions later.
Thank you, Conrad, for the presentation. It's extremely interesting. I think we can see a lot of application of that technology to work in cities, from planning its infrastructure to creating an urban plan or city plan, and even to heritage conservation. So thank you for that, and it looks really appealing, and I think you'll get a lot of questions later. Let me move on to our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Benjamin Garcia, or Benjo. So Benjo is a finance and strategy professional with more than 20 years of diverse experience in financial services companies, telecommunications, and education, where he has managed all aspects of budgeting, forecasting, strategic planning, expense management, operations, and administration. He has led effective teams to attain goals through strong leadership, interpersonal communication, and analytical abilities. Today, he's the Vice President and Division Head of Business Operations, Strategy, and Support at Globe Telecom. Let's please welcome Benjo Garcia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Luz, for that very good introduction. As mentioned by Mr. Luz at the beginning of this webinar, communication and connectivity is vital to a city's progress. Through the years, we've experienced shifts from one technology to another. Personal correspondences was made through snail mail, a rotary landline, or even a telegram. Just imagine what we did those days. I still remember being in line in public calling offices just to make an NDD or an IDD call. Mass communication, on the other hand, is still done through TV, radio, and print, and has not changed as much. Although right now we already have digital TV, which was introduced, I think, two or 3 years ago. However, now everything is possible through the internet, accessed through either the web or via apps. Today, we are more connected than ever. Access to information has never been as easy as tapping our screens. Part of every community's progress is being able to adapt to the latest technology, especially when these solutions are meant to enrich lives through ease and relevance. We want to enrich lives through communication by simplifying technology so that we bring customers closer to what matters most. In all this advancement, Globe has been with every Filipino. From introducing SMS during the height of 2G in 1994, then improving data connectivity through 3G in 2005. Globe has been at the forefront in pioneering these developments in the country. Today, by constantly upgrading, we have seen significant improvements in our network. From averaging download speeds of 4 Mbps in 2016, we are now at 25 Mbps for our broadband network and 16 Mbps for our mobile network. Given the significant investments in more efficient networks, we are now able to provide more value for money plans. Our offers have actually dropped from an average of 23 pesos per gig in 2017 to now only 10 pesos per gig. With connectivity now an essential part of our everyday lives, Globe wants to provide its customers with the best digital experience. Customer experience has been our priority in expanding and upgrading our network. This is because today, the average Filipino spends 9 hours and 45 minutes online. Our rollouts and capacity expansion efforts will allow us to be able to cover more ground and connect more Filipinos. We are at our highest in terms of capex to revenue ratio at 32.4%. That alone shows how we are ramping up cell site builds and fiber to homes to service about 76 million of our fellow Filipinos. Likewise, we were recently recognized as one of the most improved telcos worldwide in mobile video experience. This was done by an independent mobile analytics firm, OpenSignal. Globe's improvement score of 32.7% in mobile video experience is quite impressive, with the worldwide average only at 14%. Today, the company gears for its largest nationwide network transformation, anchored on its three-pronged strategy. First, acceleration of cell site builds to expand coverage and increase data capacity. With the strong support of ARTA and the recently signed Bayanihan to Recover as One or Bayanihan 2, the faster processing and release of various national and LGU permits is crucial to jumpstarting the infrastructure needed for the country's overall state of connectivity. Second, we will all upgrade all our sites to have 4G LTE and optimizing the frequencies we have to provide both coverage and speeds. With 4G everywhere, the whole country will be data ready and capable of meeting customers' increasing demands for bandwidth and faster speeds. Third, we will fast-track the fiberization of Filipino homes to improve data experience using wireline connectivity. Globe hopes to address the growing demand for home broadband with a much larger fiber footprint. Majority of the network upgrades are expected to be completed by 2021, but we will continue the builds in the following years. We look forward to the future where our country would have a robust digital economy backed by resilient and reliable connectivity. We'll quickly show you a video of the benefits of 4G versus 3G.
Oh my God! Highway! Yes! Ayan o! Oh, di ba? Tambak! Chika lang, kala mo naman talaga. Oh, basketball fan.
Tapusin nyo na! Tapusin nyo na! Tapusin nyo na!
Uy girl, magkaiba ba tayo na pinapanood? Tapos na eh!
So, lag na naman ako.
Naka 3G ka yata, sis eh.
Oo, bakit? Hindi mo ba alam na 3G has download speeds that reach 7.2 Mbps?
Sa 4G, umaabot siya ng 25 Mbps. Kaya kahit mag-video call ka pa, mag-stream ka pa, walang lag, ganon.
Ang taray?
25 as in 25 Mbps. Kayang-kaya pang mag-attach ng mga bigger files sa email. At syempre, alam mo naman, diba, for us people, na always on the go.
Well, nakakapag-Facebook naman ako. At nakakapag-online shopping.
Pero sa 4G, mas makakagamit ka ng mga mobile apps, mobile games. Thank you so much. At saka TikTok.
Hoy! Nagtitiktok ka ba?
Oh, girl! Habol!
O sige. Mag-4G na ako. Paano sumali dyan? Paano pumunta dyan? Go!
Dalian mo na! Come on! 4G everywhere para sa better data at faster speed.
So as you have seen in the video, a lot of the things that you can actually do in 4G, you can already do in 3G. However, the experience will be much better in 4G. 4G offers higher bandwidth and provides faster broadband experience. It also provides low latency and improved network responsiveness, which is needed for enhanced user experience. 4G's high spectrum efficiency makes networks capacity larger to support a higher number of users. This kind of connectivity upgrade will also greatly enable us to be able to access digital services that would improve, if not change, the way we live. We have seen in the recent months the increasing adoption of digital finance through GCash, which is also a company that's associated with Globe, expanding the ways we transact and increasing our penetration to the unbanked sector of the economy. It is also making available the ability to do distance learning. We are also enabling telehealth through Consulta MD and Health Now, opening up a whole new sector in healthcare. And from the video, you can also see it's expanding avenues for entertainment through streaming platforms like TikTok and social media and gaming. We encourage all Globe customers to check if their SIMs are still old 3G SIMs and upgrade for free to new 4G SIMs through our Globe stores. It is free and customers will be able to retain their current numbers. Just text SIM check, SIMCHECK, to 8080. The recently signed joint moratorium circular on streamlining of permits is a big win for the industry. It is one of the major changes we need to give Filipinos better connectivity. Our partnership with the LGUs has also been advantageous. With the same objective of providing connectivity to its constituents, we've started to work with some supportive LGUs on efforts that would bring better coverage to their area. We are working towards cultivating this relationship to more cities and provinces nationwide. Globe efforts to build covers a whole nation approach, including areas that are remote and have not been afforded connectivity for years. To give an example, recently we provided connectivity in the mountain barangays of the town of Liloan in Cebu. This has been a long-time request of the people in Liloan, and Globe is the first to answer that call. Our planned builds in the next months include areas as far as Victoria City and Santa Barbara in Iloilo, Barotac, Nuevo in Calinog, in Iloilo, Babatngon in Leyte, Brooks Point and Puerto Princesa in Palawan, Calibo in Aklan, Tibiao in Antique, Bogo in Cebu, Datu Angal Midtimbang in Maguindanao, Pikit in Cotabato, Tagaloan in Misamis Oriental, and Moncayo in Davao de Oro. Our products also ensure affordability to be able to serve more people. As seen in our prepaid offers, and I mentioned earlier, our Go promos can now go as low as 10 pesos per gig. This opens up the market for data to a very, very big portion of the population. One of the latest projects we have rolled out was our partnership with the Manila LGU for Connect Tayo School Bus Wi-Fi. Together with Mayor Isko Moreno and his constituents, Globe was able to provide fast, reliable, and low-cost home internet connectivity in underserved markets in the locality. I'll show you a video of the execution.
Good morning everyone! Tara na sa biyahe to get connected. Ako po si Sonja Kalit and welcome to the launch of school bus Wi-Fi in the city of Manila.
Makikita mo yung high connectivity doon sa high density and challenge area. So, it is being addressed by our partner Globe.
The Globe Telecom launches its Connect Tayo school bus Wi-Fi service that aims to provide alternative livelihood to those engaged in the school bus service who are affected by the no physical or face-to-face interaction between and among students and their mentors. This will help our students and teachers in their online activities.
Alam niyo naman natin ang connectivity, napaka-importante sa ganitong mga oras. Kasi importante ngayon ang connectivity kasi lahat ng bagay dumadaan na ngayon sa internet. Kaya ho naman ang Globe, tuloy-tuloy ho ang rollout namin. Not only in the city of Manila but all throughout the Philippines.
So to have a chance to contribute in some way to the City of Manila and work with the City of Manila and giving people access to the internet is a pleasure that we have. It's really a pleasure to be here today, Mayor, to continue working with you. We look forward to many other projects that we can do together with you. And a big congratulations, Ernest, to your team. They've been super. What a great idea to have the bus Wi-Fi system. Mano pa today, meron pa tayong extra way of accessing internet using Globe. That is one thing. Another thing, Globe for that matter, gave an opportunity for those people or individual or small businesses like bus servicing business na talagang walang hanap buhay.
So as shared in the video, Connect Tayo Wi-Fi actually hit a lot of things that we wanted to do to be able to, how do you say this, serve the market. First, it provided a fast and secure community Wi-Fi, where the aim is to provide households with affordable internet. It made connectivity more accessible for underserved families and the communities. Using Connect Tayo Wi-Fi, Globe deployed school buses equipped with special antennas that will broadcast Wi-Fi signal from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. from Monday to Sunday in selected covered areas around Manila. The use of Connect Tayo Wi-Fi service is free for the first hour for public school students and teachers in Manila who were also provided 289,000 Globe SIM cards. Through the school bus Wi-Fi campaign, Globe also extended support to our school bus operators whose main source of livelihood was adversely affected by the pandemic. In closing, connectivity is a great equalizer. It lends endless opportunities for all of us to discover and improve the way we live. Reliable connectivity now equates to better livability in any city. The road to recovery requires a pivot to digitalization. Companies, whether big or small, will be reliant on connectivity and digital tools to keep their businesses afloat. Globe continues to enhance the Filipino digital life through various digital platforms, whether for paying bills, buying load, looking up data usage, or even pulling up your monthly statement. All of this can be done digitally through our various apps in our portfolio, like Globe One app. Globe is committed to continuously improve network performance. Our network transformation will progress significantly in 2021, and by then we expect great improvements in our customers' online experience. With the latest technologies in place like 4G and fiber, and of course 5G later on, we will be able to give Filipinos quality connectivity at par with our neighboring countries. Again, we continue to be optimistic that we will be able to accelerate our country's digital transformation and enable economic recovery. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benjo, for the presentation on Globe and telecom facilities. So I think that the whole definition of basic infrastructure has changed in the last 10 years, 5 to 10 years. We used to talk of roads and electricity and water and waste management and things like this. And today, now we add telecom as a basic infrastructure required by everybody, by all cities, and not in this time of COVID, more and more important than ever that we need this digital connectivity. So thank you, Benjo, for the presentation. Let me move to our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Lani Revilla. Mayor Lani is the mayor of the city of Bacoor in Cavite. She's devoted much of her life to public service, and she previously served as a member of the House of Representatives for the Second District of Cavite, and was elected mayor in 2016. Under her leadership, the Bacoor city government has received countless accolades, including the Gawad Kalasag and the ATOP Department of Tourism Pearl Awards. Most notably, the city of Bacoor has received the seal of good local governance for the Department of Interior and Local Government for 5 consecutive years. To present the initiatives of Bacoor City, Cavite, it's my pleasure to welcome Mayor Lani Revilla. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. A pleasant afternoon to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Liveable Cities Philippines for having me here as one of your guest speakers. Greetings to all officers, guests, and fellow speakers. I briefly share our experiences in the city of Bacoor in engaging the challenge of being a livable city for our constituents. I entered public service as the representative of the local district of Bacoor last 2010, and that was the start of my mission in prioritizing infrastructures in our city. The thing I did as a congressman was file a resolution to convert then the municipality of Bacoor into a city. In 2012, it was us, and now we are celebrating our 8th city. This construction is city to boost our infrastructure budgets. And in 2016, I came here, I envisioned our city to be a progressive, livable city with responsible citizenry. This time also that we seek the help of the European guidance in drafting a new comprehensive land use plan. The community education is a new goal for our city. Our goal is number one, sense of community and responsibility. Number two, transportation efficiency. Number three, residential housing for existing population. Number four, environmental management. Number five, functional and safe guidelines. And six, sustainable economic development. Salient features for new and improved CLUP are the following. Number one should be municipal water and river system, since Bacoor is the catch basin of the province of Cavite. Number two, promote vertical development for expansion area with social. Okay, is my mic working? Yes, okay, thank you.
Better, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The salient features of our new and improved CLUP are the following. Number one, this includes the municipal waters and river systems, since Bacoor is the catch basin of the province of Cavite. Number two, promote vertical development. Number three, urban expansion area with social and environmental infrastructure. Number four, urban redevelopment and heritage preservation area. Number five, new Bacoor Government Center, which anchors the urban commercial development. And number six, the Riverside Development Zone. With my presentation, I categorized our projects to basic essentials of our constituents. Let me start off with the governance category. We would like to feature the Bacoor Government Center. The Bacoor Government Center is composed of the main city hall, the Employees Cooperative Building, the Alert 161 Command Center, our PNP station, BFP station, Office of the Senior Citizens Office, our BDRRM, our City Health Recovery Center, DepEd's School Division Office, Bulwagan ng Liga ng Barangay, and the Strike Gymnasium. The speaker is not working. Is my speaker working? Sorry, nagpo-flash po kasi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Mayor. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can hear you, Mayor, very clearly now.
Okay, thank you. It also houses our Bulwagan ng Liga ng mga Barangay and the Strike Gymnasium. Our Bacoor Government Center also has our National Agency Center, which is located within the BGC. If Taguig has BGC, we also have a BGC here in Bacoor. We also have our NAC Center houses the following offices: the DTI, TESDA, NBI, Post Office, and HOA offices. And so far, we'd like to boast that our 73 barangays in our city have their own barangay halls. Under the category of health, we have additional barangay health stations to expand primary healthcare centers. Our Sagip Buhay and Recovery City Health Center, which is located right behind our City Hall. We also have now our Southern Tagalog Regional Hospital, formerly known as the Bacoor District Hospital, which is now a level 1 hospital which has a 60-bed capacity, which caters to mild and asymptomatic COVID-19 patients. This lot, where the hospital is erected, was donated by my father-in-law, Ramon Revilla Sr. We have constructed isolation rooms made out of container vans within the area, and another 3,000 square meter lot will soon be procured, and a 300-bed capacity building will be constructed to cater to other patients not only in our province but for the whole region as well. Construction of a covered court was also made within the Southern Tagalog Regional Hospital, and you would like to boast about our 7 strike sa servisyo health centers within our city. In the category of education, we have a total of 349 school buildings in the city, with a total of 1,291 classrooms. We are still building new school buildings and repairing the old ones whenever applicable, and we encourage now to build 3 to 4-story buildings since the cost of land in the city is getting high. We also like to boast about our Revilla Training Center, which caters to the TESDA accredited livelihood trainings within our city. And also that particular center gave us the opportunity to be awarded a regional and a national award by TESDA as a Kabalikat awardee. Under the social services category, we would like to promote or boast about our newly constructed BJMP building, which is now operational. It is situated in a 5,000 square meter land, and this has been awarded as the best city jail of the BJMP Region 4A. We also have constructed our shelter for boys and girls home for underprivileged children that we have in our city. So far, when we were still a municipality, we had 20 daycare centers, but now we have 75 daycare centers within our city. Under the sports and culture category, to preserve the culture and tradition of our Bacoreños, we made sure to prioritize infrastructure concerning sports and culture. Inside the Bacoor Government Center, we also have the Strike Gymnasium, who happens to be the official venue of the Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League. Museo de Bacoor is now under construction. It will showcase the history and culture of the city of Bacoor, since Bacoor is known to be the marching band capital of the Philippines. We also have 61 covered courts in different barangays, aside from the covered courts built within the subdivisions wherein the land has been donated to the city. Ongoing right now is the construction of our oval track with bleachers and with drainage system at the Bacoor Elementary School in Barangay Alima. Under the protective services category, I am proud to present to you our efforts in disaster response. I have revived the Alert 161 in the city, which used to be the project of my husband, then Cavite Governor, now Senator Bong Revilla. We have a Bacoor Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Command Center, who also received an award as a champion in the Gawad Kalasag on the Calabarzon region. The Alert 161 complex includes the command center operated by solar power, equipped with high-end digital infrastructure, and operates a centralized Alert 161 hotline. As mayor, I believe we should prioritize peace and order in the city. And we have constructed 4 additional modern PNP stations strategically positioned within our city, and CCTV cameras are also in place. Under the land and transportation category, we have widened our main roads, cleared our roads, and we have initiated the solidarity routes. These routes are inside the subdivisions that can help in easing out traffic in the city, since we are the gateway of Cavite from and to NCR. The LGU is providing upkeep and street lights for these particular routes. An overpass parallel to the Aguinaldo Highway, located in the intersection of the Anghari and Dasmariñas, Bacoor Road, is now under construction. This will also ease our traffic problem in the city. And as the need of the usage of bikes as one of the major transportation now during the pandemic Recently, we opened the 5-kilometer bike lane along Bacoor Boulevard, and we are also constructing a bike lane along Zapote River that will connect to Bacoor Boulevard. We are also constructing the Bacoor Bypass Road from General Aguinaldo Highway Imos, connecting to Bacoor Boulevard here in our city. What are our future projects? The Bacoor Diversion Road is now under construction to pave the way to the entrance of the LRT in Cavite, which is located in Zapote 5, the first station in Cavite. This will ease out traffic from Cavite Province going to Coastal Road. Bacoor Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Building will be an additional infrastructure as well to the Bacoor Government Center. This project will be possible due to a loan from the Development Bank of the Philippines. And the drive. Okay, this is our soon-to-be bigger Bacoor Disaster Risk Reduction Management Building. Since the start of the pandemic, we also encountered problems concerning burials and cremation of our constituents. That is why, as part of the DBP loan, we are planning to build the Bacoor Columbarium at the St. Michael Cemetery in Molino 2. As part of our 2025 vision, we see the future of having the Bacoor Reclamation Project, and would like to share this video with all of you. Can we share the video?
Pamamalakad ng lokal na pamahalaan ng lungsod ng Bacoor na itaguyod sa Bacoor or Coastal Reclamation and Development Project. Ang proyekto ang infrastruktura at kasaganahan sa pakikisa ng Philippine Reclamation Authority o PRA at private sector exploration o sa pamamagitan ng isang public-private sa pag-unlad ng ating bansa at pagkakakilala ng Pilipinas sa buong mundo. Diamond Export Corporation ay pinagkukunan din ng mga Pilipino at sa 40 taon ng kanyang operasyon ay kinikilalang isa sa namumuna sa industriya ng real estate at shipping. Ito ang mga international consultants. Nabigyan daan sa pag-usad ng Bacoor tungo sa minimikhinyang kaunlaran at kasaganahan bilang isang lungsod. magkaisa tayo at pagiging ang ating mga kilos at kalakasan upang makamtan natin ang lahat ng ating mga pangarap para sa Bacoor. Bigyan daan natin ang pag-unlad ng lahat ng komunidad ng Bacoor at ng bawat mamamayan nito. Itaas natin ang antas ng kabuhayan ng lahat para sa magandang kinabukasan ng mga darating pang henerasyon.
The city of Bacoor is envisioning that our city becomes the premier business hub south of Metro Manila, a holistic city with global standards driven by competitive and productive Bacoreños living in disaster and climate resilient communities, preserving culture heritage led by transparent and people-oriented public servants united and guided by the love of God. Thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lani. There's a lot of progress going on in Bacoor, so congratulations for that. And I hope that I noticed that you are a regular participant at all our livable cities labs. So I hope you find them useful for you know finding people who can help you in executing your vision in Bacoor. And also today we had IFC for infrastructure finance, and we had DigiScript for 3D reality capture, and Globe on the telecom side. So, and I know from the other meetings we've had other people who might be able to help you in Bacoor. So thank you very much again, Mayor Lani. For our next speaker, let me introduce another mayor, Mayor Bernard D. Mayor Bernard D has been a consistent awardee for consecutive years as one of the most outstanding mayors in the Philippines. He's named as Manager of the Year during the International Summit in Stresa, Italy, and recognized as Ambassador for Peace and one of the Science Ambassadors and among the recipients of the prestigious award 10 Outstanding Young Men of the Philippines. He's a world-class leader representing not only Cauayan City, but the entire Philippines through his accomplishments in digital governance, making Cauayan City the first smarter city of the Philippines. He is also an active advocate for localizing the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. At present, he continues to serve as an active and innovative leader with the end view of making Cauayan City not only a smart and sustainable city, but truly to be the ideal city of the North. I know one of the last times I saw Mayor Bernard, he was so excited. He had just finished the design and production of his Cauayan City app, which I still have on my phone, Mayor, and it's a very great tool for getting to know more about Cauayan City services. So please join me as we welcome the City Mayor of Cauayan City, Isabela, Mayor Bernard D.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's good to see you, and it's good to be back in livable cities. I'll be sharing my screen. Okay. So pleasant afternoon to one and all. To the officers and members of the Liveable Cities Philippines, the League of Cities of the Philippines, Globe Telecom, fellow mayors and speakers, different agencies and stakeholders represented here today. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Please allow me to start my presentation by introducing my beloved city. Cauayan City is located 365 kilometers north of Manila. It's poorest among the cities in the region. It's a highly agricultural city, and that's why this is where we take pride on how a small, poor, and agricultural city was able to evolve as the Philippines' first smarter city. Cauayan City was given the recognition as the Philippines' first smarter city by the Department of Science and Technology on March 25 in 2015, in recognition of its excellence in the delivery of social services through digital governance. This is a collaboration between and among the local government, the academe, particularly the Isabela State University, and the Department of Science and Technology. These two agencies have been supporting Cauayan City since the date of conceptualization to implementation of the Smart Cities project. But through the years, we have established partnerships with different stakeholders and agencies to strengthen our efforts on smart cities. When the United Nations launched the new 17 Sustainable Development Goals, Kawayan City took the lead in localizing these goals, which we call Labing Pitong Hamon sa Bawat Kawayanyo, or 17 challenges for every citizen of Kawayan, where all plans and programs of the LGU are aligned for the achievement of these goals, with a strong belief that small steps from the LGUs can greatly contribute in the realization of this global advocacy. These are just some of our campaigns on how we raise awareness about the SDGs, especially among the youth. We distributed SDG bags to elementary and high school students in public schools. Our barangays installed barricades or welcome banners in the entry points of their barangays using the SDGs. Our first ever SDG-inspired Kawayan City Sports Complex, where we hope to make use of this venue as a platform to raise awareness about the global goals. At this point, I would like to share with you our accomplishments of our Smart Cities project, which have greatly contributed in the achievement of most of the SDGs. These projects have provided the community with basic social services with a touch of ICT for sustainable development. Here's a short video.
Mayor's permit, Hawaiian City, first.
It is also our aim to realize goal number 11, or the sustainable cities and communities, to ensure access to adequate, safe, and affordable housing, especially for indigent families. We have utilized idle lands to establish housing and resettlement areas. Here is a 600 square meter lot at Sitio Manalpaak, granted to the first 60 family beneficiaries. Then we expanded it to accommodate about 150 family beneficiaries, provided with free electrification, level 2 water supply. It also has a daycare and multipurpose hall, a chapel, open space for vegetable plantation, and a smart greenhouse. Water supply at Sitio Manalpaa. We also established inside this community a smart greenhouse units installed with the Internet of Things, first Internet of Things based technology for aquaponics. These were done by students in collaboration with students of Isabela State University and Temasek Polytechnic University, which is such a brilliant feature. They have their control in the university, and remotely they can control the pH level of the water. So it's a wonderful project. Then we expand. We also established inside this community smart greenhouse units installed with the first Internet technology aquaponics. Here is another settlement area for 460 family beneficiaries with free deep well, daycare center, multipurpose hall, vegetable area, children's playground and basketball court, a PNP substation, and road maintenance by the local government unit. Another housing project for 1,000 family beneficiaries with free deep well, daycare center, road concreting, and road maintenance by the local government unit. There are 2 settlement areas for land development which aim to provide shelters to our people. The Smarter Kauaian City project and our efforts on the SDGs have opened opportunities for Kauaian City to showcase its best practices both in the national and international stage, lining ourselves up alongside metro, highly urbanized cities. We have asserted the presence of Kauaian City in different international engagements to represent the Philippines and share our best practices how we champion in smart and sustainable cities project. We also sealed partnership with Smart Cities Council and the Smart Cities Network in Singapore. This partnership has supported us in many ways, from providing technical assistance for capacity building up to linking us with key stakeholders who could help us strengthen our efforts, with the main goal to actually impart awareness among other cities so that we can create a nation of more smart and sustainable cities in the Philippines. Since the time we started the Smart Cities Project and the UN SDGs in 2015 and 2016, the following years have been banner years for Kauaian City as we have received national commendations and awards. With all of these awards, what is really fulfilling in this journey is how we have successfully encouraged the active engagement of the people of Kauaian, how we have created a community of smarter people. It is rewarding to see how people have embraced science and technology. Our barangays are now smarter barangays where they have started incorporating these technologies in governing their people at their own initiative. Like for example here, they are now using QR codes for household profiling, which is helpful for relief assistance distribution. They also encourage their constituents to put aquaponics in their backyards. Police drones are being used for public safety, smart bins for efficient solid waste management. They started using online platforms for information dissemination and communication with other barangays and the LGU. So at this time of the COVID-19 pandemic, where everything goes online, the people of Kauaian already got a head start in using these new technologies, which is a success story for the local government because we can see that the people are adaptive to innovation. And we take pride that these systems you see now in this slide are all locally developed. So we have seen the potential of our locals to be co-creators of these new technologies. As you can see, we have implemented no QR code, no entry in our checkpoints to help contact tracing, and all members of the society cooperate and comply on this policy. There remains a challenge, the resistance from other people to use these technologies. But throughout the years, we've seen how they make innovation a part of their day-to-day lives. You see, we have accomplished so much, but truly, there are there's still a lot to do, especially at these trying times. Every day is a day to learn, explore, and collaborate. To wrap things up, my main takeaway in today's discussion is that collaboration is very important in order for a certain project to be more successful. This partnership between the local government, the DOST, or any government agency, and the academe in the Smart and Sustainable Cities project is not only significant for purposes of providing technologies, research and development, budget sharing for implementation of the Smart Cities project, but more importantly, this is essential to make the project sustainable. Technology is here to stay, so the LGU needs institutions as dedicated and innovative, such as the DOST and the academe and the private sector, to make these innovations sustainable. So that there may be a change in administration in the local government, our service to provide positive change in the lives of our people and the community will always be possible. Again, thank you for giving us the opportunity, and I hope that we are able to inspire you with this humble experience of Kawayan City, that smart and sustainable cities are not only for big or metro cities. If it can be done in a city which is poor in terms of income, small and highly agricultural like Hawaiian City, then there's no reason for other cities not to be able to do it. We still have a long way to go. So for further collaboration and other concerns, you may contact us at these details and we will be glad to be working with you. Again, thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Mayor Bernard. So impressive to see what you've done in Kawayan, and I like how Mayor Bernard has looked at projects as diverse as aquaponics to smart garbage cans to transportation to drones to artificial intelligence for disease management and control and plant science. So, just an amazing job that you've done there, Mayor Bernard. So congratulations to you. And I think we can all learn a lot from you. Uh, okay, before we proceed to our panel discussion, just to get a sounding from the audience, I'd like to ask a poll question once again. And the question is this: what basic service or infrastructure do you want your LGU to focus on in your area? Just pick one so we see we see what the priorities are like. Is it housing? Is it water? Is it electricity? Is it connectivity? Or is it roads? We're giving five options. Of course, there are many other options for infrastructure that were mentioned by Orly, but we'll try these five first and see which ones apply to you. So, what basic service or infrastructure do you want your LGU to focus on in your area? Housing, water, electricity, connectivity, or roads? Okay. Oh, connectivity is a clear favorite here, 38%. And then we have 25% are looking at housing and roads, and electricity and water uh, seem to be don't seem to be too much of a problem, I guess, in among the participants who are here today. So thank you for that. We'll remember that connectivity, roads, and housing. So let's go to our open forum, and let me invite our speakers back on screen. Aurelie Chardon of Regional Cities Lead for Asia for International Finance Corporation, Conrad Alampay, President of DigiScript Philippines, Benjo Garcia, Vice President for Business Operations Strategy and Support for Globe Telecom, Mayor Lani Revilla of Bacoor City, Cavite, and Mayor Bernard D. Kawayan, Isabela. Uh, and the mayors, of course, are still present. Mayor Lani, Mayor Bernard D., Mayor Andrea Inares of Antipolo, Mayor Eric Singson of Candon City, Mayor Catalino Adapon of Josefina, Zamboanga del Sur, Mayor Manuel Saladaga of Mahayac, Zamboanga del Sur, Mayor Lourdes Katakis of San Pedro City, Laguna, and Mayor Gina Lizares of Sipalay City, Negros Occidental. So thank you, mayors, for staying, and also you have an opportunity to ask questions. No, so let's I think if we take a look at the Q&A box, there are a lot of questions, and let me start first with some of the earlier questions I saw. I noticed some are already answered, so let's skip those for the moment. Um, Let me go down here. Okay, there's a lot of questions for Benjo Garcia for Globe. I guess relating to the projects you put on connectivity, like Connect Tayo Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
school bus service. So, Benjo, do you have plans of going on beyond Manila? I know you did City of Manila. So, where else do you
Yeah.
plan to go? And how do mayors get in touch with you if they need this service?
Thank you very much for that question, Bill, and thank you also for the opportunity to share how we can expand the service across the different LGUs. Currently, the way that we have done it in Manila, Manila is actually a pilot, and it was a big pilot. From the time that we've launched it until now, it has been quite successful, and we are ready actually to roll it out to other areas. We have a product head that handles this. I can share to you her email in the forum. Her email is jlrakpan@globe.com.ph. Her name is Miss Janice Rakpan, and you can just email her wherever your areas are, and they will do an assessment. Of course, the assessment at the end of the day will depend on the connectivity of the area and how viable the area is for Wi-Fi. So please don't hesitate. You can just email her. I'll repeat the email again: jlrakpan@globe.com.ph.
Thank you, Benjo. Benjo, maybe you can post it up as well on the chat box,
Sure.
so all our panelists can see the address of
Okay.
your contact. I think it'll be convenient. Okay, I have a question here from Gail Pamintuan, Executive Director of the League of Cities. This is addressed to Aurelie Chardon of IFC. Does IFC have experience in structuring projects involving a group of subnational governments in the same region? In other words, involving a group of cities, not just a single city. Because she says, we've noticed that for climate projects to truly work, we need different cities or LGUs to start cooperating with each other. They can no longer work in silos, and we are seriously exploring this. So, already do you have experience in working with a cluster of cities on a single project?
So first, I agree with Gail. I think some of these issues have to be addressed not only by one city, but by a cluster of cities, or even at a national level. But to answer your question, yes, we can look at a regional level or even a kind of state level in different countries. So we'll be happy to discuss these projects. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I think what we should do, Gail, is work with Orly and the IFC staff in Manila and have a special technical, detailed workshop session. I think with the mayors, I think that might be useful so they can see what kind of investment and advisory services that IFC can give. Okay, this is a question for Mayor Bernard. No, what's your advice to other LGUs for transitioning to smart cities? What did you do? How did you get started? What advice would you give? You've done a lot of these things for many years.
Well, number one, I think notion that smart cities are normally found in highly agricultural, highly urbanized metropolitan first world cities is a myth. Smart cities can be as complex as having sensors in every street of this city. It can be as complex as passing ordinances allowing robots to go around and roam around the city, or it can be as simple as informing the farmers if it's going to rain or not. So basically, technology is here to stay. We have yet to take advantage of it. We have strong collaboration with the academe, the Isabela State University, and the Department of Science Technology that has helped us in the framework of the Smart Cities project. So I think collaboration, number one, is key. Next is to really find out what kind of solutions the people need or our people need for it to be able to be effective and sustainable.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Bernard. Yeah, it's a good point. Most people associate intelligent cities or smart cities with large urban centers, and I think you are kind of the counter trend. You're an agricultural community, basically in a province that is the biggest producer, if I'm not mistaken, of corn and of rice, I believe. No, so you're a very big agricultural producer, and people don't associate Kawayan with being a city that uses artificial intelligence, but I think you've really shown them that how to do it. Let me shift to Mayor Lanny Revilla, and also Arely, your help here is that what can the government, how can the government improve the quality of urban infrastructure? Bacoor is rapidly urbanizing. So, what's being done, for instance, in terms of roadways? How do you design them for strength and lifespan and construction delivery time? What are the innovative ways that you could implement better management of urban infrastructure? And maybe aside from Mayor Lanny and Aurelie, maybe Conrad, I can also ask your help here because maybe your technology can help deliver these products in the right strength, lifespan, design, and delivery time. Mayor Lanny, would you like to start? How are you doing it to design really durable infrastructure in Bacoor?
Well, so far with the aid of the national government, DPWH, we have initiated several major road constructions with their help. With regards to design, sometimes we would, of course, get consultants and other designers to pitch in help. And now with the upcoming plans of having reclamation in the city of Bacoor, our private partnerships with Frabel, Aboitiz, and Robinsons, they have been assisting us through consultants coming from other countries, from Denmark and from Hong Kong. And so far, they've been assisting us in developing new road networks within our city for the future.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Lanny. So I can see you're making use of a lot of good technical support from the corporations and from outside consultants, which is great because I think we need to kind of learn and leapfrog. Aurelie, what kind of sort of level of advisory services could you offer a city like Bacoor, which is rapidly urbanizing and building infrastructure?
Yeah, so I think the key is planning, right? Like appropriate planning to make sure the road is inclusive. So we're not only thinking about the wealthiest part of the city, but also making sure that poor people can commute to the center, etc. So good planning, which also could potentially include private sector solutions. So thinking of how best to leverage those private sector solutions, not only in the construction, but also on the maintenance and the operation of those roads. Because what we saw in many countries is that, fine, you get someone to build the road, but then no one maintains it. And then you get, especially with climate events, your road is very quickly not usable. So what we really focus is construction, but also proper maintenance. And also when you build those roads, making sure that you take into account the climate impact and the resilience impact as well, that needs to be quantified at the beginning. And then again, in the maintenance and how you're going to be maintaining those. So I think what Mayor Lanny said, making sure you leverage the different consultants and, kind of get also some help from across different countries or, the best advisors is really important as well.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Already a follow-up question. So you talked about sort of climate resistant infrastructure. So do you have a special window for this type of lending and advisory services in terms of green investments and climate resistant infrastructure?
Yeah, so we have a green building focus and program that has been working well, including in the Philippines. But for specific resilience, it's a theme that we're seeing across Asia, and we're really trying to develop it. So, for example, some cities are asking us to look at the city as a whole and explain to them or kind of come up with ideas of where they can be more resilient. And that usually is an interesting analysis we do, and then we come up with ideas and plans of how best to what would make the most kind of bang for the bucks in terms of resilience and how best to implement that in their pipeline and in their investments going forward. So really building the capacity of the local team to be able to assess and more resilient programs, but also that could get you to tap into new funding sources as well, Bill. So not only funds and kind of climate funds, but also some investors are more and more interested in green bonds or, blue bonds or, SDG linked financing. I think Mayor D mentioned the strong SDG focus, and that's really something that we're also be, leading and thinking about. So one of the instruments we're currently structuring is, a type of investment that would basically reduce, the interest would reduce depending on targets that you meet, SDG targets that you meet going forward. So the more the cities is progressing and meeting their goals, the cheaper the financing is, because you'll get more money from donors or from other sources. So that's just one idea we have, but green bonds and green loans is very, lots of demands for that at the moment across Asia.
Thank you. Conrad, there's a couple of questions here for you. Aside from your work on making sure that we have good design and for infrastructure, how have you used this for infrastructure related projects? And maybe can you tell the audience what other cities in the Philippines you have worked in, so people get an idea of which cities are using this technology?
Right. So one of the things, thanks for the question, Bill, appreciate it. So we're looking at right now, infrastructure design and planning. We're looking at, for example, right now, one of the delays of these infrastructure projects is right of way acquisition, right? Sometimes we might determine that we might take the road this way, a certain route, but realize later that, we cannot acquire this land. That's where the delay in planning can come in, as the planning and design comes in very, very early. You can aerial map, understand the most cost-effective way to determine your route for these massive infrastructure projects. Where they encounter halfway through the project, realize they have to reroute this road. That's where the delays can come in. That's where the savings of planning and capturing this information ahead of time. As also, I want to touch on a bit of what Mayor Lani mentioned about how we looking at foreign consultants coming in. We have projects where many of the current manufacturing facilities, factories, power plants, this information, actually a lot of foreign consultants require reality capture data already now, because they can no longer travel here. So they lend their expertise and they can plan and design without having to even visit here. So this data has been invaluable for those type of projects where best practices worldwide can be brought here by first understanding what we have on the ground in the country. And I would also touch on Arlie's point with maintenance. 15-20% is just construction. 80% of the building is operations. So as we now invest and use captured data all across major milestones of the project, that can we leverage this information to help in operations maintenance. And now, as Mayor Bernard Faustino also mentioned, developing smart cities. This is really the foundation of capturing and using this information, not just for the planning, design, construction, but really for the maintenance, which is 80% of the cost of these structures of maintenance, right? So that's where I see the use case for that here.
Thanks. I have a follow-up question for you, Conrad, which is, we know you can capture through 3D, you can capture physical items like infrastructure. Can you gather information of economic activity? Is there a way to derive that?
Yeah, that seems to be more a real-time application. Well, I think that relates towards more the GIS and really capturing, using sensors on the ground and capturing real-time information. I think a lot of things will happen towards the direction of using artificial intelligence. So that's by putting sensors in place in areas where you have activity or transactions. Again, that GIS database that I showed earlier is really one way to visualize all that data movement. But we have to first lay the foundation of, these sensors, as it was mentioned. That's where I think the direction is of getting smarter insights, analytics reports over a period of time. But it takes a lot of planning to get to that point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have a question here for Mayor Bernard. Someone's very inspired by your presentation. They're asking, is it possible to get copies of your CDP and CLUP? And also a separate plan, how did you localize the SDGs for Kawayan, or did you incorporate the SDGs into the CDP and CLUP?
That's a good question. Thank you for for that. But we'll post the link where you can see our group, see our website where you'll find all the details that you've been the question or the guy who asked. But with the localizing of SDGs, very important was our collaboration with the DOST for the framework and to know the KPIs. And up to since the very beginning in 2016 and up until now, we've been still collaborating with different agencies, United Nations, UNESCAP, UNEP, a lot of different agencies that have different key performance or KPIs. So we just slowly integrated with our plans and programs, and therefore we are trying to come up also and help DOST in formulating our own national framework for the smart cities.
Thank you. Let me close with a last question, one both for Mayor Lanny and Mayor Bernard. No, so you've made a lot of investments in your respective cities, modernizing your cities, putting technology into the cities, and what kind of impact have you seen in terms of the increase in income of the city? Have you generated more business? Have you had a good return on the investment for what you've done for your respective cities? Mayor Lanny, maybe I'll start with you.
In terms of digitalization, we're in the process now of improving our services. Unlike Kawayan City, we have a long, long way to go. We are a baby wing city. Connectivity is one of our greatest challenges, even though that we are just beside Metro Manila, or we're just a stone throw away in Metro Manila. But aside from that, investments have been pouring in despite of the COVID season. We have generated around 1,500 plus renewals of business permits within our city, despite of the COVID season. So we are happy with what's going on, but we are sad with the health conditions, and we are hoping that the vaccine will soon be out, so the new normal will really step in, and people will start coming out and working normally. So far, so good. I think Kawayan City is way far beyond what Bacoor is doing right now. But hopefully by next year, because of the loan that we did with the Department of Finance, with an accompanying 35 million grant, our connectivity, the payment schemes of RPTs and the business permits will soon be serviced properly without coming here personally here in our city hall to pay permits and RPTs.
How about you, Mayor Bernard? You've put in a lot of investment in technology. What's been the return for you? What's the benefit and have you seen your income increase for the city?
In terms of investment, I wouldn't say we in the city have invested much in terms of monetary, because as I said, we're the poorest city in the province, and that's why we had to be resourceful, and that's, I think, where collaboration comes in. So a lot of the programs, new technologies and innovations that we have done were mostly in collaboration for for piloting, for testing, and also really the quantifiable. I don't think it can be as quantifiable in a way that how much income we raised, but it's really the citizen engagement that has really led us to seeing the success of these technologies. With regards to, if I remember correctly, the only investment we did was the computerization of the city government that led to about 40% increase in collection. But apart from that, all the other technologies, for example, payment gateways, online payments, has just given us a more efficient and effective service to our people. So I think that is the best quantifiable thing that we can get out of our Smart Cities project.
Yeah, no, I think Mayor Bernard, what's so impressive is what you said. Your citizen engagement, because they've used the technology, and I'm impressed, for instance, that households are using QR codes, for data keeping and for delivery of benefits. So I think that's great. Okay, we've run out of time in this extremely interesting session. Uh, Let me just say, first of all, there have been some requests from the mayors and the audience, uh, to find out more about what Mayor Bernard is doing and what Mayor Lanny is doing in their respective cities. Also asking questions of DigiScript and from Globe how to avail of the services. So we're going to post up in the Q&A box, and we will send all the contact details to everybody. So I'd like to, before we close formally, like to thank our speakers for your insights about basic infrastructure. We will work with them to respond to as many of the unanswered questions as possible. We're also happy to help with introductions. I know we have some, for instance, maybe not too many mayors or cities will know Aurelie Chandon and the IFC team. So we're happy to do those introductions and maybe even organize something a little more detailed with the mayors working with Attorney Gale of League of Cities. So that's something we can do, and we can do that with all the other speakers as well. Um, I'd like to remind everyone to answer the feedback form that will appear when you exit from this seminar. If you're on Facebook, take a picture of the QR code that you see on the screen, and that will lead you to our customer feedback form. If you want to receive a certificate of participation, the name you use on the feedback form will be the name that appears on the certificate. So type your name as you'd like it to appear on the certificate. Uh, your response obviously is going to help us improve our Livable Cities Lab series, and that's always a good thing for us because we're always looking for ways to improve the lab. All the presentations and the recording will be sent to all participants via email. Give us a few days to get that going. We look forward to seeing you all at our Livable Cities Lab on Wednesday, November 18th on Intelligent Cities. This will be our last lab for 2020. That's our ninth, before we resume our next season in 2021 with another series of nine uh, labs that will start in late January, and we will extend that all the way to May or June. Uh, you can follow us on our social media at Livable Cities PH. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at livable_PH. Uh, Before we leave, just a last reminder to all our speakers and panelists and mayors, you will see a link in the Q&A box that will take you to another Zoom session outside of this, and we'll keep you there just a few minutes because we'd like to take a picture of everybody. So please uh, use that link, get into the photo session, and again, thank you very much for joining us. To the audience, have been wonderful. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.